Good morning. Good morning, Nikki and Dan. I think I and my dog are going to be making a video. The dog just got out of his kennel, so he's a little frisky. That would be Pip, which obviously is sort of a slang term in British English for small annoyance. I think perhaps shithead would have been a better word or a better name. So anyway, good morning. It's Thursday morning, July the 26th, I believe. And I've got a lot of notes on like 14 videos from each of you to respond to. So I figure we should better start. I did just watch the last two videos you guys made, which I'm not responding to this morning. Can I start by quickly commenting? Nikki, at this point you can fast forward to, let's say, the 2-minute and 30-second point, because I'm going to talk soccer. Did you watch, Dan, the MLS All-Stars game versus Chelsea? We were at a Mexican restaurant last night eating dinner, and like many restaurants these days, it had a very tacky big screen TV sitting directly across from where I was sitting with the MLS game on. So and so I watched the first half and was amazed that Chelsea wasn't up 6-0. They just seemed to dominate that first half. I didn't watch the second half. I only watched the highlights this morning, and was amazed to see that MLS won 3-2. So where does that come from? I have no idea. Anyway, so that's. I guess I have 5 more seconds to say nothing about soccer. And now, welcome back, Nikki. Let's see, July 17th. I'm not sure I can read my notes anymore. Let's see, hot thunderstorms in Pendleton. It's obviously it's not hot everywhere. Duncan hasn't been complaining about heat, but I'm glad you guys have had heat. But you always have heat. Thunderstorms, of course, are not typical, at least as frequently as you've had them. So I would say you are a lucky man, because I love thunder. I think that your hair with a little body is a nice thing. I think you should live in a humid climate more often. In fact, what I'd like to see is I'd like you to grow your hair out about 3 more inches and then live somewhere again like Belize. That's what I would like. I'm thinking Peter Frampton, kind of from the 70s look. That's what I'm thinking for you. Also, you need to grow a big mustache, like a John Oates mustache with Billy Joel 70s hair. That's what I recommend for you. Oddly enough, I recommend that same thing for you, Nikki. So, raining in the Grand Canyon. Now that was kind of funny that it was it's raining in the Grand Canyon, and we're not getting hardly any rain at all in Winona. But I think actually the Grand Canyon would be more beautiful in the rain, all flash floods notwithstanding, of course. I like a rain. I like a good Pacific Northwest, west side of the mountains, wintertime rain. That's for me. And actually, Duncan is really looking forward to the winter. If I can talk about Duncan really quickly, he's living in Portland. He and his 2 friends, Ross and Kelly, are. I know it sounds like an episode of Friends, doesn't it? But they're living in an RV in a guy's backyard in Milwaukee, Oregon. Nikki, you probably know where Milwaukee is. Dan, you may not. And I say Nikki because you obviously come through that part of southern Portland, not irregularly. So anyway, but the odd thing is that Milwaukee, Oregon is spelled with an IE, whereas Milwaukee, Wisconsin is spelled with an EE. So Of course, there's no correct spelling given the fact that it's a native, an Indian, an Indian word. So, there's my daughter being chewed up by my dog. You want to say good morning to Nikki and Dan?
Good morning, Nikki and Dan.
Lear. The plot is Lear's got 3 daughters, and he doesn't have any sons, so therefore he doesn't have an obvious successor. And so what he does is he divides his kingdom up into 3 parts in order to prevent any fighting. 2 of his daughters are married to dukes, and the 3rd daughter is certainly the sweetest daughter. She's not married. She's being wooed by the King of France and wooed by somebody else. And
what does wooed?
Wooed meaning they want her hand in marriage. Sort of like dating. But King Lear decides that he wants to hear his daughters tell him how much they love him. So the first 2 daughters get up and, I love you more than the moon and the stars and blah, 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 blah. And then his 3rd daughter, who's not married, gets up and says, I love you according to my bond as a daughter. I love you no more and no less than you deserve. I love you because I'm your daughter. But doesn't moon on about it, and he ends up getting angry and throwing her out. Well, of course, the 2 other daughters, the older daughters, are duplicitous winches. Winches doesn't capture it. They are viragos. I think that's what they are. And they are mean. And so they end up arresting and banishing the king, and they end up one of the other dukes or earls or whatever they were. One of the daughters ends up plucking his eyes out, and it's a pretty gruesome story. And you're right, Nikki. I should read Fool instead. In fact, I have already read Fool. And there's one other. But anyway, so and maybe I'll just go back and read it again. Funny thing about Quim is that you're right. It was in Avengers. It was also in an episode of Firefly. Believe it or not, I don't know, Dan, if you caught that, but it.
What are you talking about?
It's just some slang words, some British slang words. So, the art form, literature art form, past its halfway point. Here's what I have to say to that. Okay, moving on. Nikki, I guess I'm talking about you. Yes, I remember your dad, and I guess I remember him from water skiing. That one day we went water skiing. That was my. Dan, you may have been introduced to Star Wars by Nikki. Well, I was introduced to water skiing by Nikki. Which, by the way, brings up, I'm going water skiing. Did I tell you I went water skiing with my friend Glenn? I don't know if you met Glenn when you were here, Nikki. Dan, I know you've met him, but Glenn lives on one of the sloughs right on sort of off the Mississippi. And we're going to go water skiing for Lisa's 40th birthday, and this is in a couple of weeks. And he also has his ski jump out. And so I'm going to hook the GoPro on my forehead, and I'm going to make a video from not only that perspective, but also from the boat's perspective with my other camera, and I'm going to try to jump. So, fun should be had by all. I expect that I will get one chance at it, and then I too will be able to enumerate my numerous injuries, in all likelihood, including my concussed head. Eraserhead, I've never seen it, but that was a David Lynch film. David Lynch is, God, he's weird. he's, Dan, I don't know if you know who David Lynch is. Nikki, I know that given your personality type, you'll be almost certainly know who David Lynch is. But he did...
I know who David Lynch is.
That Twin Peaks, the series Twin Peaks. Actually, it's funny. Colleen just said she knows who David Lynch is because we have my friend, Anne, who works for me. Nikki, I think you met her, didn't you? The woman's about my age. She's kind of behind my right-hand woman. Anyway, her last name is Lynch, and her husband's name is Dave. So he's the other David Lynch that I know. Anyway, so David Lynch did Twin Peaks. I remember that series with what's his name and what's her name, Kyle. What's his name? So anyway, the guy who was in that movie. Have I ever told you that language is my thing? I really, have a command of, those things. So anyway, swimming, crawl. Dan, I was thinking about your swimming, and I think with your kick, what you need to do is decrease the frequency and increase the amplitude, for starters. Also, I think swimming really is a good crawl stroke is really predicated on turn it down, honey. Is predicated on good breathing and relaxed breathing, being able to keep that breath. Because what that does is when you take that breath in, essentially that buoys your body, right? You got a big balloon in your chest, and then once you're buoyed, then your mind is not telling you to kick in order to save your life. So a couple things on that. One of the things I've been doing is when I've been swimming open water, I've been, instead of breathing every 2, so breathing left every time, I've been breathing every 4. So it's like breathe, stroke, 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 breathe. And then what I do is I take a deep breath and I hold it the whole time. And I find that it's like almost I make better use of the oxygen somehow, and I just feel, I feel better about it. I feel more relaxed, a lot more relaxed. So that's my plan this Sunday when we swim Lake Pepin. So Lake Pepin, again, is that wide place in the Mississippi. Nikki, because Dan, I think you know about Lake Pepin. It's also the spot where the Ingalls family crossed over from the big woods to the prairie in Laura Ingalls' childhood. Let's see. Oh, you talked about Taryn, Dan, and you think something's wrong with him. Honestly, at bedtime, I would love to go to my room and read books and play with Legos. That would make me actually incredibly happy. Which brings up, you were saying in just your latest video that Sarah's going to be out of town and you're not sure what you're going to do because you can't exercise vigorously or you can't do any of the things that you want to do. Well, I would suggest that you read books and play Legos. So, network, your Buffalo router, your 80.211, 80.211 AC. I was hoping you had an 80.211 AC. I was afraid you were going to end up with like an AD model, and I didn't think that was going to be appropriate for what you were doing. So I'm glad you got the AC. Buffalo router. It sounds like a Marley song, doesn't it? Buffalo router. Network upload. Yeah, anyway, you can work out the lyrics to it. So that's one video. Let's see, Nikki, your Vegas video. I have something here that says under something shits. I have no idea what that says. I don't know. Also hot in Vegas. Yeah, well. Your pictures, you said there was nothing wrong with them. They were definitely flipped upside down, so I don't know what to tell you on that. Let's see. The Grand Canyon, I know you've talked a lot about it, and I also could talk a lot about it. I also have never been to the Grand Canyon. I've been to a lot of really cool places in this country, but never the Grand Canyon, and I feel like I need to go. So if I could go, you know that plexiglass walkway they built out over it. If we could bungee jump off that, I would go in a heartbeat. So I'm glad that, I don't know what this says. Does that say Maddie, no fall in the canyon? I don't know what that says. But I'm glad that you guys did not fall into the canyon. But what I can't figure out is, what does it take to fall into the canyon accidentally? I don't know. So, and I was trying to think of 10 better reasons to fall into the canyon other than just simply backing up to take a photo, which makes no sense, because if you were taking a photo, wouldn't you be facing the canyon, not away from the canyon? So, I mean, I guess that's one way of getting rid of, of your virago, is to, say, no, take another step back. No, one more step back. No, it's going to be a great shot. One more step back yet. So, you did comment on, so 10 better reasons. I don't have 10 better reasons. Make them up for yourself. Flash floods creating most of the canyon. Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the same thing with the, the Missoula Ice Dam and the Grand Coulee. That whole Columbia River and Palouse Falls that Dan talked about. So, it's not the slow trickle. But it's the same way in your house, right? You never get any remodeling done by slowly doing it day by day. You don't do anything for months, and then suddenly you have a flash flood of activity, and you finish, or you start and finish something. So that's my theory, that life imitates nature. Vegas. I also have never been to Vegas, and I've wanted to go. I would love to go to Vegas. Frankly, I'd love to go to Vegas and gamble and lose $1 million. But for many reasons, I choose not to. I would also like to get, eat some hallucinogenic mushrooms while going to Vegas and losing $1 million. But again, there's certain things that I'm probably not going to be doing anytime soon. So, let's see. The points of conflict with your family reunion. We would like to hear about those. So please, when the clan's not listening, tell all, because we're interested. Did you say something about, you were talking about your family and that when you were young the age range was greater? I'm just wondering how that works. Are you suggesting that you guys are aging at different rates? So, golf, 2 foursomes, both alike in dignity. Wait a minute, I think I just slipped into Romeo and Juliet. Yes, I understand. Arg, indeed. I may be going out and playing this weekend. My friend Adam, who was previously a part of the administrative staff of the Great River Shakespeare Festival here in town, Nikki, and who I usually play. It's almost ceremonial golf, and we play. We play max play or stroke play. I can't remember. We actually just playing stroke play, but we also play bingo, bango, bongo. Do you know what that is? So what you have is longest drive in the fairway is worth a point. Closest to the hole on your first shot on the green is worth a point. First on the green is worth a point. First in is worth a point. And then there's stroke differential. So you add all those points up, and each point's worth a quarter. So it's really more ceremonial quarters than actual quarters. But that's my way of saying I'm not actually gambling. This is merely a coinage representation of quality of play. Let's see. Your Uncle Buck, Proud Mary. Did your Uncle Buck sing Proud Mary? I can't. I'm not sure what that note means, but I'm sorry I didn't get to see it because actually, probably my favorite version of Proud Mary is Tina Turner, which of course anything with Tina Turner in it is my favorite version. I really love Tina Turner, and always have. Tina, if you're listening, I've always loved you. So when you were shooting that video out of the window, it would have been more, Nikki, when you were in the hotel, it would have been more interesting to do the Where Am I game. Dan and I, Dan has done it, and the one time I did it, Dan cheated. But what Dan did is he would shoot a video, just a panoramic shot, out of his hotel window and say, okay, like 30 seconds of video, and then say, okay, where am I? And I would have to figure it out. And so far, I've been pretty good at guessing. But that's not even. It's not. I didn't even know he was. What city he was in. So I had to figure all of it out. So the very first one was the best one. I'll tell you about it some other time. I have something that says shoes as opposed to artificial canyons. I have no idea what that is. So I guess I better stop this video. It's very long, and I will no doubt talk to you guys later. I understand what you're saying about needing a new sign-off. You guys are welcome to keep the still dead sign-off for obvious reasons. I'm not still deading just because it bums me out when I say that. So I've been saying swim and not be weary, which is metaphorically speaking, which is good because literally it would not apply to you guys. All right. Bye.